All right, guys, welcome to AfterThoughts. I've got Nick here with me, the solar guy in Southern California, the one who's in the trenches every day, dealing with all things solar related customers, installs, questions, headaches, crews, you name it. First of all, how are you holding up? We're here, December, mid December 2025. You're rushing to get all these solar installs done before the end of the year.
Yeah.
How are you? How are you doing?
Well, I'm not sleeping a lot.
All right.
It's been really hectic. Timelines, delays, inventory, permits, processes, expectations.
Mhm.
Everything is at a really high pace right now.
Yeah, we've been dealing with obviously customers getting very, very antsy.
Yeah.
People waited to the last minute, right?
Yeah.
In 2025, tax credits, we can talk about it, but how are you holding up?
Yeah, I think a lot of people did wait until the last minute to make this decision. And because of that, the timeline sort of got tense towards the end. Because a lot of homeowners at the very last minute kind of rushed in,
Yeah.
submitted these permits. Now the AHJs, the county, are trying to catch up with everything, keep everything going, and at the same time, the utility is trying to catch up with what the solar market has become in the last couple of years. So it was kind of a perfect storm, and all just kind of happened at the same time. And yeah, it's been. Well, look, I think that when I first came into this industry, somebody told me that this is called the solar coaster. And there's going to be ups and there's going to be downs. I'm not really sure if we're at an up or a down right now, but we're definitely in a loop. So it's been a solar coaster.
Awesome. Well, I figured today we'd talk about solar, how it works, what homeowners should really know before jumping in.
Yeah.
Since we're heading into 2026, we've got to talk about what's coming, right? The tax credit, what it means for homeowners, what to watch out for 2026, and then what to watch out for 2026 solar reps going out there and knocking on your door.
Well, I think the elephant in the room is the tax credit. So the subsidies for solar are shifting. So there's a lot of language going around saying that the solar tax credit's ending. And that is true for consumers. The solar tax credit is coming to a close for consumers at the end of this year. But those subsidies are shifting, right? And so now the PPA providers, the banks, are going to be the ones that essentially claim that 30% tax credit. There's going to be different ways they can claim more, which domestic content gets them an opportunity to claim an additional 10%. But that's really the the landscape of solar right now, and that's the elephant in the room, is that solar is changing. And just 3 years ago, solar in Southern California took a massive shift with the introduction of NEM 3. Batteries became the norm. Like I said earlier, the utilities are trying to catch up with the new equipment that's coming out, the meter collars, things like that. And so we see solar maturing, in my opinion, in 2026. I think it's going to be very different from 2020 to 2026. And then looking at it even further, in 2030, I think this industry is going to take such a mature, large step forward. But consumers don't quite see it that way right now. So there's a lot of education that needs to go around, and I think there just is sort of policies that need to be put in place with solar, and then guardrails need to be put up for consumers.
What do you think consumers are missing, or what do you think the misconception is?
Solar isn't a solution, one-stop shop that fixes all of your solutions. Right, all of your problems are not going to be solved by just installing glass on your roof and solar panels and batteries.
As far as keeping the house 100% like energy efficient, right?
Yeah, you have to look at how much energy that solar panel, that system's going to output for you. You do have to have common use practices involved inside of that, the scenario that you're doing here. That build has a certain output of electricity that you can expect every single day, every single year, every single month. And you kind of want to stay within those parameters. If you start using more electricity after you install solar, you have to kind of structure expectations.
Yeah, and we've seen that, right? I sold a couple systems back in like 2017, 2018 when I started.
Yeah.
And I remember those systems. I think maybe in the last 4 years, we called us to add panels and stuff like that. We referred them to I don't know who, but it's like you kind of outgrow those systems at some point as well. And then we talk about maintenance, right? Like when you're kind of like in this maintenance area of, and I don't know too many solar companies who are really hitting maintenance. I I would like to see your opinion on that. Like, where do you think the maintenance category of solar is kind of going?
The servicing. I think servicing is a huge part of solar, because what has happened in the past is these companies would install a system, they would set very high expectations. The system's going to solve all your problems, you'll never see a utility bill again. Then they disappear, right? A solar panel stops working. Customer doesn't know about it because they haven't checked their monitoring app in 2 or 3 months, but the solar panel hasn't been working for months. They don't know who to call. Oftentimes they are calling a company who's no longer in business. So I think what we're going to see, especially in Southern California, is more servicing companies pop up. I think a lot of the contractors that I work with and I like to partner with, they really specialize in servicing. They want to go back after the fact. They want to stay local to the homeowners so they can go back and service it. They want to be accessible by phone after the installation.
So when we talk about servicing, what are customers really looking to service? Because we've talked about inverters, right? Like those inverters, like Solar City back in the day when Solar City was around, and those systems, are super old now. It's like, what is it that homeowners can actually do to make sure they're keeping up with their systems?
Inverters are a big part of it. If you have an old sun power system, something like that, it's a great idea to look at updating that inverter, or old, Sun City, something like that. It's a good idea or Solar City, you should look at updating that inverter now to something that's a little more modern. They'll give you monitoring, and then if you'd like to, I think one of the things we're doing right now is retrofitting. We're putting MCIs underneath each solar panel, and then installing a Powerwall 3.
What is an MCI?
So that's going to be basically a monitoring system that goes underneath each solar panel.
Okay.
We're going to be able to track how much solar is going in.
Per panel?
Right, exactly. Okay. And then it goes back to the battery. We can actually track what is going on from there.
Okay.
So,
what is an inverter? Sorry. For
yeah.
like homeowners that don't know any of these terms, what is an actual inverter? What does it do?
Yeah, so inverter is what actually transfers the electricity from DC to AC that goes into your home. So when you bring the electricity in through the solar panel itself, you have to convert that electricity into a usable form of electricity for your home. And that's what the inverter does.
Okay.
Yeah, in a simple way.
Okay, perfect. To backtrack a little bit, okay, for homeowners who know or seen their neighbors get solar and all that, what is solar as far as like components, panels, batteries, inverters, what else?
Batteries, obviously.
Panels, kind of like what is the product? What are they kind of like purchasing?
It's electricity, right? So what they're purchasing is a form of electricity, a source of electricity that's going to be self-generating, renewable. So that's really what solar power is electricity. Now you have the option to purchase the electricity directly from the utility, or you can kind of go more independent and purchase the solar, go with the inverter to transfer that energy into your home, and then get that battery itself to back you up at nighttime.
For we talk about electricity, right? It's like, and we live in Southern California. The cost of living for electricity itself, it's always going up, right? So that's always the big pitch of like get ahead of the electricity companies, because they're going to continue raising rates.
Yeah.
That's really the problem that we're trying to solve, right?
We live in Southern California. It is the most expensive place for electricity in America. The only place that even rivals close to us is Hawaii. But right now, California, Southern California specifically, is really at the peak of cost for electricity in America. And just this month, or just last month actually, in Edison, we had a 10% increase. And if you go on the Edison website, you can actually go to their site and see how many more increases are going to be set up for the next few years to go. And there's a lot. So to answer your question, we see the utility costs in Southern California increasing year over year with no slowdown in mind. So
net metering, that's obviously a term that you're going to hear. Can you tell us a little bit about net metering, how it works, and what it is? Yeah, so homeowners in Southern California have probably heard of NEM 1, 2, and 3. NEM 1, any excess electricity that your solar panels produce would go back to the grid, and then Edison, in that example, would send you a check for that excess electricity. It wasn't a lot of money, but they would send you actual cash back. Eventually, the utility sort of caught up to that, and they thought, let's revise this. And they came up with a credit program. So when you produce excess electricity, you're sending it back to the grid. The grid is accrediting that and sending you a credit back to your account. So when you're buying electricity from the grid at night, you're kind of bouncing it off of that credit, and that's what's going against it. That was the normal way of solar for a long time, and I think outside of Southern California, that's still pretty popular. But recently, they introduced what's called NEM 3.
It's a rate arbitrage sort of system. And in NEM3, you're getting pennies for the dollar back for any excess electricity that you produce and send back to Edison. I mean, pennies. There's a adjusted rate calculator that you can look at to see all the different variable options they're going to give you throughout the day, month, and year.
Yeah, because if obviously for people who maybe don't live in Southern California, we have different. Well, I don't know how it works in other states, but we have different rates throughout the entire day. Yeah. Right? We have the highest rate is where.
It's going to be up like 74 cents, I think.
7%. And that's during what time of the day?
Between 5 and 9.
5 and 9. So people, they know that we're home, right? Yeah. So they make the most expensive.
Yeah.
And that's where they get us.
That's where they get us. But now in NEM3, that's where they encourage you to have the battery. And that's why the battery is sort of that concept of any of that excess electricity that you were producing that was going to the grid. Now you're just saying, hey, you know what? That's mine. I'm keeping it here. I'm putting it in my battery. I'm going to get through the night with this excess electricity on my battery. Now, if the power goes out, not only do you have backup electricity, you're going to get through the nighttime, but that's really what the renewable space is doing now is putting these batteries in place in Southern California, especially to back up the NEM3 kind of adjusted rate calculator. I can't say it's a scam, but it's one of those things where if a solar person's telling you that this solar is just enough for you, you really got to look at your utility bill. You really have to look at the hourly usage. You really have to define how much electricity you're using at nighttime to see if that's valid. Sure, there could be some scenarios where a homeowner could benefit from just having solar on their home and not having batteries in Southern California, but 9 out of 10 times
we don't see that.
No, that's very rare.
No, we'll be honest, we don't.
Yeah, it's very rare we see any sort of opportunity like that in Southern California. If you're doing solar, you really need to have the battery to keep yourself away from buying from the grid.
Yeah. We were talking, I think, yesterday, and I think you put it perfectly. The solar product is really, it's a formula. Yeah. Right? It has to work on paper. Like, if you can figure out the formula and make it work for the customer, that's when you should be moving forward with your solar rep.
It has to pencil out.
If it doesn't make sense, it's not a good product for you.
Yeah, and I think that's actually something that I've sort of prided myself on is being very transparent with homeowners about that. It's either going to pencil out for you or it's not. We can generalize how much you're spending if you're looking at a PPA and see if this is going to make sense for you yearly and see if it's going to save you any money. I mean, it's very simple to see that. It's just a math equation, right? And so if it makes sense for you to save money yearly and not have to come out of pocket, then a PPA might make sense. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So PPAs. Yeah. Let's talk about PPAs. Let's talk about I saw, if you follow roofing insights, I saw like Dimitri kind of shit on, leases or PPAs because of equipment, right? We've seen it. You saw the house. Obviously, you still have a PPA on there. What are your thoughts or kind of solution to that?
Well, Dimitri has a lot of strong opinions about solar. Would love to chat with him sometime about that. Yeah, the PPA has been around for a long time, and I think there's some nuance to the PPA. And again, like I said before, the PPA is not a one-size-fits-all product. It doesn't work for everybody. Solar doesn't work for everybody. And we should really understand that from the jump. Solar is not going to be for everyone, and that's absolutely okay. I think with the PPA, like we said before as well, if it doesn't pencil out, it doesn't map out, it's not for you. Yeah. You have to just really understand what you're getting into. The PPA has some nuance to it because, well, especially with real estate agents. So I think just the elephant in the room, really kind of pull the sheet off right there.
Yeah, because they've been dealing with it for years and years, and that topic of like once it's sold, they don't know what to do with it, or they have old systems that probably weren't in the best
sun power systems, sun run systems, possibly even too. Yeah, those were not designed in a good way for a home to be sold to a buyer, and for that buyer to then adopt that PPA or lease. The buyer has to be absolutely bought in on the PPA and the lease. They have to say yes to it at that point, obviously.
The buyer?
Yeah, when they're buying that house, if there's 10 years left on a PPA or 20 years left on a PPA, whatever it may be, obviously they have to be accepting of that monthly payment. If they were, especially before, if they were not willing to accept that monthly payment, well then you as the seller will need to remove that system from the home if that's what their demand is. I mean, you could just hold off and try and find another buyer, and maybe in this market that's easy. I don't know.
What does that look like as far as getting that system off? Like, do you buy it out? Like, what does that kind of look like for the seller?
Well, there's going to be a fair market value price to buy the system out each year, and that's going to be line item down inside the contract for the seller.
Okay.
So when they buy that system, or when they lease or PPA that system, inside of the contract, it's going to show year 5, year 6, year 7, year 8, year etc.
Okay.
How much it's going to cost to basically buy that system out.
Okay.
If they wanted to buy that system out, now they are going to also have to have it removed. And understanding as a roofer, we're going to go up there and remove that system that we drilled into the roof. Probably going to need to do some roof work there as well.
You're going to do some repairs, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's messy. And I think that's one of the reasons that a lot of real estate agents have steered away from solar PPAs, things like that. It has a really negative connotation because it can absolutely blow up a deal.
You can kill it, yeah.
Yeah. And when we're talking to homeowners that are looking at buying solar, I was just talking to a guy yesterday. He really needs to think about it because he's not sure if he's going to be his house in the next 10 years. He may rent it, he may sell it. If he rents it, he's like, yeah, I don't care about the solar. The solar makes sense then. Saving on the cost, I can pass it off to the renter. But if he's going to sell it, it makes 0 sense for him to get into the solar right now. And we had a very honest conversation about that. So you just have to set the expectations up front very clearly about what could happen. Here's what the solar system will do for you. Here's how much it will produce for you. Here's how much electricity you should try to stay within. And if you decide to sell your home, this is the scenario that would look like. Now, with more modern PPAs and things like that, they don't necessarily need you to go through and do a credit check. You don't necessarily need to get approved for it. You can just transfer it over the same way as if, when you sell a house and somebody buys it, they're taking over your Edison PPA.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're just taking over the utility. Right? And in this scenario with Good Leap and Light Reach, oftentimes it's that simple where you can just sign over who the new homeowner is without having to do a credit check and things like that.
I imagine for most buyers, it's not going to be a big deal, right? Because they're going to have like a sweet deal on here. They're coming into panels, they're coming into a lower rate. But look, I lived in California my whole life. You've lived in California your whole life. People don't sell their homes here often. It's really not. We're in a market where our homes mean, they're kind of like, our little bag of gold because they're so expensive. So people here really don't sell homes maybe like in other states. We keep our homes, we take care of our homes, and we reinvest in our homes because they're our biggest asset. It's just kind of for those buyers that kind of are planning to buy something, sit for a little bit, and then move on. And sometimes you see that in LA with people like who move from like New York or other states who come here for maybe a job for a couple years and then are kind of figuring out to shift to a different place after that.
Yeah.
So I'm not too concerned about that, but I know for we've seen it. Real estate agents do have kind of that negative connotation when it comes to systems.
Well, I think in 2026, the amount of PPAs that are sold is going to outnumber the amount of loans or cash solar systems that are sold. So it is something that they should stay educated on. Partnering with a rep like me who can actually talk to their buyers and sellers and make sure the expectations are set up properly. That's really important for them. Especially with the landscape, like I said, in 2026, really shifting to a PPA landscape. Now, I'm not saying that's what consumers need to do. That's just what the industry is going to be pushing. The PPA, the solar bros, the door knockers, they are going to explode in 2026 and 2027. So that's really what the landscape is, and you just have to know the market. And that's really what it comes down to. If you are going to buy, you're good. Now, the one thing I do want to mention, I have talked about this a long time ago, but if you're buying a solar system, let's say it's a $40,000 solar system, you're buying it, that's an asset. You need to let your homeowner's insurance know as well. You need to, add that $40,000 asset onto your home in case a fire or something happens, God forbid, you're covered on all levels. So, really protecting yourself from the entire investment, you have to really just be educated on what you're buying. If you're getting into a 25-year PPA, do your research.
Okay.
Don't get mad at the solar rep. Don't get mad at the solar company. Do your research. Understand how much electricity that solar system is going to produce for you. How many kilowatt hours that battery storage is going to give you overnight. What that truly translates into hours that you can use. Don't go charging your car and running your heat pump and heating your pool and all of these things at 8 p.m. at night. There's still a path there's still a formula that you have to follow
Mm-hmm.
after you install solar. PPA or cash, it doesn't solve it.
Mm-hmm.
You still have to stay within the parameters, and I think that's why the guardrails,
Mm-hmm.
proper expectations, setting things up the right way, and being very transparent
Mm-hmm.
with consumers, whether it's PPA, whether it's cash, whether they're just buying a home that has solar.
Mm-hmm.
You really just have to explain it the right way.
Got it. Products. I want to talk to you about products. Obviously, this year's been a hell of a year with tariffs. There's products that we're not going to see in 2026. What's kind of your outlook kind of on products, and what are you looking for as far as going into the next couple of years?
It's almost frustrating because solar has become politicized in a lot of ways, and so macroeconomics have played a big part in the way that modules are being manufactured, batteries are being manufactured. There's so many components, small pieces that come from an area where, because of FIOC and tariffs and things like that, we're not going to allow that product to come off the container that's sitting on the dock.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't even put together the modules or the batteries because those components are no longer allowed to be used.
Mm-hmm.
So the landscape of solar is going to change massively. I think we're going to see a lot of manufacturers not sell it in America.
Mm-hmm.
We've already seen, I think, GreenCal and a couple other players completely pull out of America.
Hyundai, right? I think you mentioned to me. Hyundai.
Yeah, I think I read the Honda might be pulling out as well. So we don't see those panels really coming back in 2026. So I think partnering with local manufacturing is really the right way to go. And so I am looking for more local manufacturers, especially on the module side, more local providers on the battery side. Somebody who we can rely on consistent inventory and a good relationship with. So while it's going to completely change the pricing model, the way everything is set up right now, it's all going to change. I do really think it's for the good. We see the industry kind of maturing and coming together and forming in a way that we had not seen 10, 15 years ago. I'm a little bit newer to the industry, so I guess I can't speak too far back, but what I have seen over the last 5 to 7 years is this industry has just gotten a lot tighter. It's a lot more tight-knit. Social groups online are growing as well, and so I do see some industry heads trying to add standards, add policies, add guidelines in place because it has not been structured.
Yeah.
Solar's kind of been the wild, wild west, and it's been a free-for-all. And I think if we can add some parameters in place and, again, guardrails for consumers, it's going to just make a better product and experience for everyone.
For cash customers that come into wanting to get a solar system, can you tell me a little bit about like the finance side? You know, we primarily use kind of Go Green.
Yeah, you guys work with a lot of Go Green.
Yeah, they have really great loans. Can you tell us a little bit about, you know, kind of like that side of the, especially for the cash customers?
Yeah, I think that if you can find a good financing product, companies like SunGage, the Go Green products they offer through the credit unions, really strong. I have a good, strong partnership with USC Credit Union right now. They offer very good rates for home improvement, solar, and batteries. So that's what I see happening in 2026. If you are still looking to own the system, you just got to shop for good financing. If you are just monthly payment shopping, more than likely a PPA is going to offer a lower monthly payment. If you are looking to own the system, though, getting like a 4% or a 6% loan with USC Credit Union, paying it off early, I think that's really the best way to go about it. But yeah, we offer 20-year loans with USC Credit Union and Go Green financing. Those are really strong. And then SunGage Financing also is a premier partner of ours.
Okay, awesome. Tell me a little bit about commercial.
Sure.
I know obviously the tax credits are a little different on that side.
You guys do a lot of commercial roofs also.
Yeah, we do a lot of commercial roofing. And we want to do a little bit more on the obviously on the solar side next year.
Yeah, commercial on the solar side it's got a slightly longer runway. So for consumers, obviously it's done. Today is the 14th. We're recording this of December. Nobody that you're not signing a contract and getting that tax credit this year.
Yeah.
For consumers, it's over. But if you're a commercial customer, if you own a business and you are looking to add solar onto your business, you've got a runway up until, I believe, July 16th. Now we want to have signed contracts and have some sort of significant construction.
July 16th of 2026?
Yeah, of 2026, yeah. We want to have some sort of significant construction in place, signed contracts. There is still some checks that you need to check off, some boxes you need to check off to get that 100% in place,
Okay.
but you do have a small runway
Mm-hmm.
in 2026. Let's call it 5 months.
Yeah.
Where you can really make that decision still and still be able to recoup the 30% tax credits and more in commercial, obviously.
Is it going to be the same with residential, where that system has to be installed by July of?
No, it's a safe harbor rule. So with commercial, it's slightly different. It is not that it needs to be installed, it just needs to be significant construction. And there is a little bit of gray area and nuance to what significant construction is.
Okay.
But that's what the IRS is calling for right now is significant construction.
Whatever that means.
That could be delivery of materials. That could be concrete poured.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some nuance to that. I won't get too deep. I would say talk to your CPA about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anything else you think that people really should know about that side of the industry?
I think that one of the things I've always heard people talk about, and I just avoid it honestly, but I've heard people say solar is a scam.
Okay. We hear it all the time.
Yeah, solar is a scam. Solar is a scam. I think that there is just a lack of education in the industry about what solar is. It's not regulated, right? One guy across the street could have a completely different experience as the other guy opposite of him. So it just depends on who you work with, and it depends on what your expectations are. I say that all the time, but one of the first things I was taught in solar is to set proper expectations. If the rep is going and telling you a bunch of good things and just trying to make it sound pretty, you might have a poor experience 2 or 3 years later. The idea that solar is a scam is just not true. Solar is electricity. How you purchase that solar, how you finance that solar, that's what regulates your experience. How many solar panels you put on your roof, how many batteries you put on your side of your home. These things really manage your experience with solar. And if you don't do it right, you don't do the research, you don't work with the right person or the right company, then you'll have a poor experience. But anything can be a scam if you don't like it. So that's really what I think has happened in solar. And the batteries, the maturity of the industry in 2026 and beyond, I think it's really going to shift the mindset of what solar is, especially with EVs. Electric cars becoming so prominent now. The adaptation of EV chargers, solar, it's becoming much, much larger. Even though these subsidies are going away, I think the adoption of solar is growing.
It's definitely ramping up for sure. I think we've seen a huge ramp up maybe in the last 3-4 years.
Oh yeah.
But I think that's a great point that you just said. It's like you have to know what you're purchasing, right? You have to understand if you have a rep that's in front of you and they're kind of just selling you on a price or probably the price, right? It's you are gonna have a poor experience because the fun in the solar part is putting the entire system together. Like, what does this home need, right? What do these humans in this home do day to day where they're going to need a certain amount of energy? And we have to be able to put that together with the panels, the batteries, whatever other components, the EV chargers. One of our homeowners, they bought the stand panel, right? So they're able to see all of their usage in the house. So putting the entire package together, that's what you want your solar rep to do. If your solar rep is just going in there and they're telling you, okay, well, this is what it is, and then you sign here, there's no fun in that, right? They're not selling you the full solution to the problem.
You're absolutely right. Monitoring after you've successfully installed a system and watching the monitoring work for you, I think that's the most fun that any buyer of solar will ever have.
It to be able to get that like granular, right? Of like, where is my power coming from? Because we don't know. A lot of our customers have kids. You have kids. Like, they leave shit like turned on and plugged in. It's like you don't really know where like kind of the energy is leaking from.
Yeah, my TV and my lights being left on in my house, my little girls, is a huge drainer, contributor to my costs. But it really is. The monitoring, they get to go onto their app and actually see whether it's end phase, let's say, for example. They go on there and they can actually see how much the solar is producing throughout the day, and they can almost follow the track throughout the nighttime. They're on the battery at this point. They're following that curve, basically. And that's a very satisfying feeling because you've made a large investment. And when you're making this large of an investment, whether it's cash or just getting yourself into a 25-year commitment on a PPA, it's something that everyone has to be empathetic of. Because no matter how you spin it, it is a big decision. You know, whether it's 0 down with a 25-year commitment, that's a 25-year commitment.
Yeah.
Although you are already committed to the grid and you just don't realize it, signing this 25-year commitment feels huge. And you have to trust the commitment that you're getting yourself into. Otherwise, yeah, you could have a poor experience afterwards, and that's what happens, right?
Yeah.
So
we see it often.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you guys see it as well, but yeah, solar in 2026 is going to take I think a huge trajectory up, not down.
Yeah.
So again, a myth sort of is that solar's dead, solar's dying, the industry's killing itself, it's been too politicized. The utility's been too politicized. Yeah. The utility's gotten too monopolized. And so I see this as being, it's almost like a punk rock approach, I guess, of getting off the establishment and going independent with your electricity. Yeah. Right? And that's what it is the utility is trying to own you and trying to tell you how much you have to pay, how much you have to pay for increases. If they cause a fire, they're going to tell how much you have to pay to fix that fire damage. And these are costs that are just continually going back to the consumers. We just don't think about it. It's nickels and dimes. But if you can break away from it, same concept of getting a gas card in the year 2000 that had the cost of a year 2000 gas card. It still works in 2025 where you can keep that same savings. That's sort of what the analogy is for solar right now. Get away from that high rising cost. Got it. All right. Well, thank you, Nick. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Absolutely. We're super excited for 2026 and the products that we've come out with and the homeowners we help. Absolutely. Thank you. All right, awesome. Thank you so much.